Torkornoo filed a case at the ECOWAS court on July 4, 2025, challenging her suspension and the removal proceedings initiated against her. She had been suspended by President John Dramani Mahama on April 22, 2025 after 3 petitions were filed against her. Following consultations with the Council of State, the President determined that the prima facie case had been established and set up a committee to investigate the petitions. Justice Torkornoo argued that the process violated her rights and sought 10.
Whenever I say my PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
ECOWAS court throws out former Chief Justice Torkornoo's case against Ghana, dismissing her bid for $10 million in compensation over her removal. We hear from Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Shremsai, who made the announcement this
$1 million in damages. In November 2025, the ECOWAS court dismissed her request for interim measures to stop the committee's work, but directed Ghana to respond to the substantive case. Her case continued after her removal from office, and in January 2026, the court allowed her to amend her reliefs to include her dismissal. Announcing the latest decision, Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Shremsai said the ECOWAS court had dismissed the case after finding that Ghana had not violated her rights under the African Charter. The court also declined to award the $10 million compensation she sought.
The details now. The ECOWAS Court of Justice has dismissed all 7 claims brought against Ghana.
ECOWAS Court akasa in the case of Justice Torkornoo Ayeyinedi. But it's not just about what the court said, it's about the processes leading to the ruling. What is the ruling from the ECOWAS court? What must you know? And then a court and said Torkornoo, man, 1 Ghana cedi kure nye yes, $10 million no so or person or jano. 1 Ghana cedi kure de man nye relief ben or the koye. Relief not the coin, and then a court in the kai. So we peg the reliefs or the court no, as against what the court said. And credit to my senior colleague Austin Wood, who did the summary for me. Brilliant worker. Why am I bro? Very, very interesting update. And this case will serve as a precedent to guide how future removals is. But you see, something now started, brebe. And remember dates we go as far back as March 2025. Yeah, build the case in Nama. Why did the ECOWAS court dismiss the petition of Justice, Mr. Former Justice of the Supreme Court, Madam Araba Torkornoo? And then I'm the bro. I'm receiving petitions Petition no. One of them no, you filed by a branch of Daniel Ofori. Daniel Ofori has been in the court over EcoBank case for a very, very long time. And the petition, you know, the substance of the petition, I say Chief Justice na ya dey be a grave. Why investigation a Chief Justice na convocation. Per diem bi odema ni kun any sika bi odi and say Chief Justice this sika no. Again, no make allegation Chief Justice na transfer brantie bi in a certain case na brantie na IT officer. They were Madam na ya ade na nya sa na this adwuma no. Again, o say maame no so kasa anye. The war here and the been in the rulings so those was largely the substance of the issue. Now, as some the court, it borders on corruption, it borders on Article 146 are the 3 main reasons that the Chief Justice say one infirmity, incompetence, or more number. And last one here, let me do that. 143 the Constitution. So quickly, let's go there. Let me read for you the grounds have it in the remove it. Just say, a justice of the Supreme Court of Ghana or a chairman of a regional tribunal shall not be removed from office except for stated misbehavior. Into Daniel Ofori grounds have stated misbehavior, incompetence, or grounds of inability to perform the functions of his office arising from infirmity of the body or of the mind. Into misbehavior. Say or the office na ye maybe any so the office na ye and or the koye until April 2025 Anna President Mahama based on the provisions Article 146 the petition come at Council of State no mun say prima facie inyina so bi wo ma sa de no Council of State na ye is all under Article 146 the 15th May 2025 an Article 146 committee no ye form after the Council of State confirms that preliminarily, judges from all walks of life. Say, no question be so answered to committee also based on Article 146 process. And take committee. Now based on Article 146, the committee na me ma background ha won tie ase nti me to wo ma me article 146 and it's a committee ni yeti a say ne mmara ne hye say yenye committee or say the committee appointed under clause 4 of this article shall investigate the complaint and shall make its recommendation to the Chief Justice who shall forward this and only any other justice of the Supreme Court. But to say, where the petition is for the removal of the Chief Justice, the President shall, acting in consultation with the Council of State, appoint a committee consisting of 2 justices of the Supreme Court, be reading one more because they are one of the reliefs some American Siki ECOWAS court, or say 2 justices of the Supreme Court, one of whom shall be appointed as chairman by the President, and 3 other persons who are not members of the Council of State, nor MPs, nor lawyers. In the committee now, lawyers they say, woman, too, because before you can become a justice of the Supreme Court, you must be a lawyer. You must have served at the bench for I think 18 years or so minimum. In the set 5 members, and about me, justice of the Supreme Court 7. Now, by quiet chairman, now me and Sana Canada, and yes, all Council of State members, and yes, all MPs, and then yes, all lawyers. The President Mate Committee na Justice Scott Gabriel Kwamain, Ekoda Committee nano. And of our Justice Esiedu Ekana, and of our Dominic Domelebo, and of our Mami Bino military and another lady. Papa bi no de come now 4th July 2025 and a case is started Okobu Supreme Court near there, but officially 4th July 2025 no call ECOWAS court or no Madam Torkornoo of filing case at ECOWAS court in Abuja alleged violation of her right to fair hearing, dignity and work arising from a suspension. She sought reinstatement and damages. It's 4th July Mamene court said Debbie committee no kra na maybe ete. In fact, committee and then almost na mo dey hearing na when you cool no wofa. No wofa nso na hwe no. Enti akwa NDC aban ne person mo shama no mental torture kan yaw dia ne family kom no ma shada de dan no lodge no mo koye sa de ni refidi no. Ewo ni cool no wofa. No mo de maame na kotra ho, maame ne keka sansem ni nyina wo relief no call no sanse. Ni omo de ni kom no ntime nya dwuma. Ya suspend no. Ko president mama based on Article 146, the committee in the back say prima facie, the 146 give the president the right to suspend the Chief Justice pending the determination of the outcome by the committee. It is hard ya the $10 million. No fenka. Remember relief no so. July 2025, na ECOWAS court they had their application for provisional measures seeking to hold the removal process and restore her to office determined pending the determination of the case. July. And of course, maame no really back and say, munya ya de na mon ka kire Ghana no nya ne wo ye no because enya Ghana ye no e ko conclusion na mo rule ne ba e be ye post facto rationalization mon ka kire no munya 1st September 2025 the committee submitted a report e de come President Mahama and Justice Gabriel Kwamain no envelope e de come President one yes say 3 reports na e ba ye no na ba ko so ye ACP bi e fa na kologu okoto asase ewo takrade na ne ekosi ye ne se obroni bi ba takrade ana obefa ake no ne ga ni twi street ana da no beachfront property bi okay na all back no ana allegedly ne girlfriend ko ka kire ACP akologo no so ye lawyer ana say police ni say all turn the beachfront property no tie ni now ACP akologo tweet kama age no later ye kom ye ko hu say ye frɛ bibi notary public say se wo gina you don say tutu di maton ade am obi a to mi krata ma akwan se otimi di say eduba no sa age no yi bruni ne girl no o forge ade no it na ye fraudulent document it asam ne call takrade court na ba Supreme Court na wana police ni ka so no de enya na ya se we hwere ne property o but maame no concluding statement bi o ka kire ne say na wo bi beto kakro no ade a police ni a osan ye lawyer what do you more has na atimi tokro no ade o say maame na didi na tem na again no ono so reply de maame no anya maame ne denti maame na mo che no for contempt of court mo no police so lawyer no because of Madam Gertrude Torkornoo case one kase yinti no omo be straining no for some hours and it even took a justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Yoni Kolende, and on the bench and so need to call the woman to order so nya ne wo ye no any ade not Justice Gabriel Kwamain ye committee chair no na sa case no so so now all that happened till since our petition 3 na ba kono na ya ba den na about a yibi group B Yes, na group bi na no so borders on misbehaviors. Yes. No mo issue ni say then no ma cases bi na e work court delay any identity petition. No mo ka say. Daniel Fodi de no go mo hwe mu kra na enough. They don't need to go into the other two. Daniel Fodi de no enough say ma no the war transfer nkrofobi. The war call vacation sika bi okodi oni ni ku padi mu bi. O um de yide de ye. Anom recommendation the come president mama sadina. And a President Mama 1st September 2025, based on Article 1469. Now, minimum listeners, no, a be petching Japan, Makama, or say, the President shall, in each case, act in accordance with the recommendation of the committee. Shall your mandam musumbrem. Ya kasa share yen shase ne committee ne bekabiana except president ni say odi committee ne so he cannot set it aside. He cannot issue a white paper and say that I agree here, I don't agree here. Whatever the committee says, you are bound by the constitution based on Article 1469. Say the president shall in each case act in accordance with the recommendation of the committee. Where a petition has been referred to a committee under this article, the president may have two options. It's na one shall may just say it is. You can go this route or you can go that route. You should be being right. I'm sorry. One, in the case of the Chief Justice acting in accordance with the advice of the council by warrant signed by him, suspend the Chief Justice. So it was based on Article 14610A. And a President Mahmoud so based on the recommendation of the Gabriel Scott Foreman Committee, suspended Madam Gertrude Torkornoo. What has he so far? You could date in this member so. Now, on the 19th of November 2025, ECOWAS calls dismiss interim measures, holding that she has not demonstrated urgency. However, the court ruled that I had jurisdiction to hear the matter. Now, some of the ECOWAS court, no, Ghana lawyer, Justice Sham signed a big case in mine. I don't know ECOWAS court Debbie. As some na ma mede dia muni jurisdiction. As some even it's a sub judice in the court of Ghana. Therefore, the court of Ghana is not subservient to the ECOWAS court. So therefore, the ECOWAS court is largely about human rights issues. So we don't agree that we should even respond to the ECOWAS court said, Debbie, you must respond to the matter. So on 30th January, February 1 ano, ana ECOWAS court ne allow Madam Gertrude Torkornoo say, on amending the release no diaba and the application of diaba. That was when the Attorney General also filed the case. Now, what were the reliefs Madam Gertrude Torkornoo were seeking? And let me pass near mama. Mama feedback na say one, or say a declaration that the suspension of the applicant as the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana by the President of Ghana on April 22, 2025 violated the applicant's human right to fair hearing guaranteed by Article 7 of the African Charter on Human Rights and then a court in the Kai. Mamin Koso or say the right to fair hearing starts when the 5-member committee was constituted and the prima facie determination by the President of the Council of State. The court therefore does not grant that will hence dismiss. It was the ruling that Madam Torkornoo can say committee no etieti so by the suspension no committee no able to go here. Now Sanko say a declaration that the panel instituted by the respondent to investigate and determine the allegation of misconduct against Madam Torkornoo was not constituted to guarantee its independence and impartiality, and as such has violated the applicant's human right for fair hearing on a so say na committee can or say committee or say the assertion that the committee members on the assertion of the procedure used by the committee being wrong, the court dismissed it because it is on the country by country rules and regulations. In the ECOWAS court, determine Ghana and Faso FNG Chief Justice said, and Mrana defined the Article 146. Court na dream on President and the Council of State Committee so. Now, the next relief was seeking is a declaration that the purported suspension of Madam Gertrude Torkornoo as the Chief Justice of Ghana by the President of the respondent country, that is Ghana, stated on April 22, violated or considered a violation of human rights to fair, equitable, and satisfactory conditions by Article 15. And yeah, there no say baby, I'm concerned the lawyers can no man quine. Emma the lawyers say my question if you no busan the lawyers and no and also court no ebugu. In fact, this is what the court said, or say, the assertion that former CJ Torkornoo and her counsel were not allowed to fully participate in the committee's hearing is not supported by the procedures from the committee. This is dismissed. And some say, record that Justice Sam said by and say, in fact, we are even told, said the former Chief Justice, Madam Sophia Kufu, was at the place to testify. We are even told that even former certain Chief Justices, but I can't confirm, but Nemtati Grapevine, Madam Georgina Wood was there, Enim Yabua was there, and other people who they allowed you to bring in to testify on your behalf. Now, my minister Siki Bio said that the purported suspension of Torkornoo as the Chief Justice exposed her to public ridicule and odium locally and internationally, and the said act constituted a violation of human rights and so called to the bogu to said the matter there be dismiss biya memu se egu nanima ase and also no believe say it is absurd say obeka say saade no eye den esiye again the really back o siki and say that the removal no violate a right to fair hearing and work guarantees and also committee no able to go here say there be bibia SN wo a esiye. Again, the declaration that the refusal of the respondent to give her report which formed the president's prima facie determination and the report of the committee which investigated the applicant to constitute the blah 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 we no ne chance say Madam Torkornoo ka say e bra e charge no person what tro a common president ma'am and a response. But Article 140 doesn't give room for that. You rather have to respond to every allegation at the committee level. So the ECOWAS court said here, Mame come out or say, okay, believe that it's absurd that she was removed from office. They believe that is the assertion that the rush it work the ECOWAS court of the view that the allegations were subjected to body search dehumanize it. In fact, let me even put the assertion aside. Let me come to as I'm confusing a point at the door. So now this is the ground they did. Some say right to fair hearing, so man right for dismiss it. Prima facie determination say mechanism na determine prima facie against them no dismiss it. Again, in the assertion say on any lawyers ya full access to the committee say anya no krom ko check record ntesa. Again, say the application assertion say procedure na di na di no enya papa no say ECOWAS court nim country by country basis. Or say the assertion that the committee member did not swear oath and the members were biased. The court was of the view that Justice Poorman and SCA being biased because they sat on another case involving one of the applicants is not tenable. Some dismiss it. Unse, Madam Torkornoo can say Justice Gabriel Scott Poorman Daniel for the case na between EcoBank and the car bank. A brand not shares if your money started 2008. Justice Gabriel Poorman so that at various courts in the process. He said, "On your chair." Now, almost consider Daniel for the petitioner or a certain connection to Daniel Ofori. Court and Madam Torkornoo and Adrian said there be and on on the matter of some members not taking oath before sitting before the committee. No some dismiss dismiss on the applicant's complaint concerning the findings of the committee, it will have to evaluate and reassess the evidence before a Ghanaian court, which the ECOWAS court has no jurisdiction. To show ECOWAS doesn't have a jurisdiction over the Ghanaian court. Or say on the applicant's assertion that the suspension from office was against the right to court. Again, the committee was to determine a fate as CG and not a Supreme Court judge. Also was removed after the committee had only one of the three petitions. The court, after evaluating the evidence, has dismissed it. Another argument, say 146 is to remove a justice of the Supreme Court or to remove her as a chief justice, because you have to be a justice of the Supreme Court to qualify to serve as a justice of the Supreme Court. Now, court need dismiss it, say, because the grounds to remove a justice of the Supreme Court is the same as the grounds to remove a justice of the Supreme Court, the same grounds removed as the chief justice of the country. No, it is two, and therefore, because she was removed as a justice or as a chief justice, she cannot serve as a justice of the Supreme Court. I don't know if I'm confusing you. You have to become a justice of the Supreme Court before you can serve as chief justice. The grounds to remove a justice of the Supreme Court, the same grounds to remove a chief justice. Therefore, if you are being removed as a chief justice, those three grounds, misbehavior, incompetence, and infirmity, applies to you in both instances. Therefore, she is dismissed on those two grounds. No, we not say they believe that it's absurd to say that she can be removed as Chief Justice and still remain as a justice. I said it is therefore dismissed. So
induced or government instigated, you will have seen that things will have worked very differently. So I believe that, like Felix Ofosu Kwachi mentioned, Dr. Bosman Asare believed that it is high time he started serving this nation in a very different capacity, and government had no hand in it. But now, the difficulty has to do with the former Chief Justice, Justice Sophia Akuffo. As we were told, her resignation letter dated September 2025, last year. But she didn't state the reason why she's retiring. Resigning. And then the Council of Elders pleaded with the president to hold on with the acceptance so that they can engage her and see if there are reasons that they can deal with so that she will stay. But I think that effort didn't yield much needed resource, and they had to give the president the green light to accept. So because she didn't clearly state why she is resigning from the Council of State, it has opened up a lot of speculations, both positive and negative. Some people mention that it is likely because she disagreed with the Council of State decision regarding when they were going to move the former Chief Justice Getru Torkornoo, and her open disagreement. No, sorry, I think she disagreed in camera when she was asked to testify before the Article 146 committee, and then the subsequent reportage of this thing. So people believe that if that is the case, then you have no bearing to represent or sit in this particular committee. And there's also, I've heard funny reasons. I've heard people saying that, oh, she has been made a queen mother in her hometown, and that is going to take much of the toll. Yeah. I think because she didn't specifically state the reason why, it has opened up a lot of speculation around that issue. But one thing has to be clear, that we are in a democratic era, and there has been a clear demonstration of the respect for democratic principles and individual rights and liberties under this government, and people have the right to freely associate and to freely self-determine where they want to live their life. So one thing that is very clear in all the resignation is that those people did it at their own will, and there hasn't been any pressure from governments or government quarters whatsoever, and I wish all of them well moving forward.
Would it be far-fetched or inconceivable, or you think that would be illogical for anybody to surmise or to even think that the reason why Justice Torkornoo, the reason why Sophia Akuffo resigned was because she was unhappy, or she had a disquiet or her misgivings about how the processes that led to the removal of Justice Torkornoo. So as a matter of principle, she decided that, look, I don't want to belong here, because as we played the tape we played earlier, she gave us the reasons why she thought that something was fundamentally wrong with the process or the procedure. Do you think it will be far-fetched? It will be wrong, or it would be a beggar's belief for anybody to think that way?
I think a lot of people who know her,
especially when you look at the timing, it both happened in September.
A lot of people who know her know that she's a very principled person, and she has defied all odds, including even petitioning. How do you call it?
Picketing.
Against his own political party.
Also
he has supported in the DDP case. We saw her come up strongly, speak for the underprivileged, and so she has been a very principled woman, if you know her. And I believe that if she believes, and she has openly, she hasn't hidden the fact that she wasn't happy with the processes that led to the removal of the former Chief Justice as a person. And she has stated it openly in interviews.
Yes.
So I believe that if she is a very principled person that we know her for,
in fact, when the Daily Guide reported that she had recused herself, was it recused or she was against it? You know, there was this report that Sophia Akuffo was against it. I've forgotten exactly what the story was, whether she had recused herself, i.e. she wasn't part.
Whichever way it is,
whichever
she didn't support.
Yes, she didn't support it, you know. You know, as we speak, we still haven't heard her speak to that matter, whether indeed, as was reported, whether indeed what the publication said was actually true. She still hasn't spoken on it.
So what I believe is that as an individual with principles, I believe that if she is not in support of a process or any thing that contradicts her personal principles, she may resign. But the fact is that she has left all of us in a dilemma because she didn't state it clearly in the resignation letter as Bossman Asare did. So we've had commentaries and interviews outside of what is stated in the resignation letter, maybe accusing the processes of not being fair or saying things that were contrary to the decision that has been taken. So I believe it would have done Ghanaians a lot of help if she had clearly stated the reason why but it is also at her discretion not to do that. But that also opens up the Pandora box for a lot of speculations. And I believe that most of the commentaries that she has given or interviews that she has run has been very tangential to the main resignation letter. And the engagement of the Council of State after her resignation letter was submitted just to find out the reason why she's resigning didn't yield much results. So I believe that it is now to herself and God why she has resigned. But until that is clearly stated, there will still be a lot of commentary and politicization around this issue. But one thing that is certain is the fact that government has no hand in this. Government hasn't pushed anybody, and I believe she did it at her own will, based on her own principles. And I think whichever way it is, the President of the Republic has now accepted the resignation. And I believe processes will start to place her in the Council of State.
Well, so somebody just sent to me, she abstained, just so we are, to be more clear or to be more specific, so she abstained. Now, the other issue is this, that Sufai Kufu was the, you can call it a lone voice in that room, 31 of them. And because of her disagreements that she had, based on which she abstained from the vote, that led to Torkornoo's removal as Chief Justice. Now, and her subsequent public interactions on this matter, you saw that media engagement at the IEA forum. Do you think that her public disagreement with the processes should have morally stopped her from becoming a member of the Council of State, or would constitute a moral justification for her to say that, look, because I am not in favor of this, I am resigning? And then number two, if she did, not if, but she resigned last year, September.
Yeah.
Why do you think that the government has kept this matter from us all the way? I mean, it's almost a year. That's about 10 months or so. Why is the government in communication machinery, why have they deemed it necessary now to come out and state it? In fact, just a day after the newspapers reported it, why have they kept it, from all of us till now? Why?
So on the first issue, I think democracy is about disagreement, and in a very healthy manner. It's competitive. We competitively disagree to be able to make decisions, to be able to move this country forward. So out of the 31 Council of State members, if she was the only one in certain, there have been other issues that she has agreed with the other 30 members, right? Yeah. And there may be issues that she may disagree. And I believe there may be issues that other members will also disagree. So I think that is the beauty of democracy. And I don't think disagreement based on principle or based on the facts of the matter is something that would prompt somebody to resign. So I suspect that the decision to disagree in itself, based on principle and facts, in itself doesn't amount to resigning. Okay. So I believe there may be another reason why she still don't want us to know. But on the second bit of the delay response, my understanding is that when the resignation letter was tendered in September 2025, the Council of State actually prevailed on the president to delay acceptance so that they will engage her and find out the reasons why and see whether it is something that they can resolve so that she will still remain part of it. And I believe that effort has dragged for, or whatever number of months that they have engaged.
That was a
I
tad,
think
that's a tad long.
so. I believe this came into the public domain because they had not given the president the go-ahead that maybe our effort is not yielding the kind of results we had intended. So I think you can now go ahead to accept. So I believe it was when the president accepted it that it now became news and then it is out there. So at that particular point in time, if the news had broken, then it would have been, and later on, the Council of State members were able to convince her maybe to rescind that decision. Then it would have been a kind of double reportage. So I believe that may be the reason why there was a delay in communicating whatever was going on, up to the point that the Council of Elders team now believe that this is what we wanted, or this engagement, I think, can no longer continue because of this and this. So we now bid the president and give him the go-ahead to accept. So it was when the president had accepted, based on the advice of the Council of Elders member who were engaging, I believe that's not the reason why it is.
So Prof, as a mere mortal, because I don't work at the Council of State, I don't work at the Presidency, I'm only a Ghanaian and a journalist. We're here interrogating the issues. If it's had to take close to about 10 months for us to get to the bottom of this matter, what I can guess is there's been a back and forth. Because this exercise of wanting to find out, why do you want to go? What's the issue? Can we help you? It's not something that should take 24 hours. But it's taken us 10 months for us to find out. Does that suggest that there are issues?
Yeah, I suspect so. She will not resign if there are no issues.
Yes.
There are issues, or there may be issues.
I mean, I'm saying graver issues than we actually think.
Maybe something that she believes even the public don't have to know.
Right.
Maybe for now. Maybe in later years, she may make it known if there are actual issues. But it could also sincerely be that there are no issues. She just doesn't know the matter of principle.
10 months.
And we are now finding issues.
10 months.
So I believe, I'm not sure, but my colleague here is a very good expert in conflict resolution and mediation.
Yes,
it does.
That's true. Yes.
Sometimes it takes time.
Yes.
It takes time.
Especially, we've decided
you're also a lecturer in conflict. So as a lecturer in conflict, he also understands the area very well.
So it takes time.
Yeah.
So I believe maybe in very sensitive cases like this. So I think as long as the back behind the scenes channel was exhausted, and they finally believe that no, maybe we can't keep dragging this issue, or maybe it is not appropriate to let the president know what is going on. I think it was based on this that the president now took the firm decision to accept.
Well, it's possible that she said, give me time to think about it.
Yeah.
And that's why it's had to take us 10 months. Mike, you don't care. What do you think? What's been going through your mind?
I mean, I like the way that we've been able to dissect this here, and now let's dissect it there.
Okay.
To look at the other side. He has spoken on some of the matters which were speculative, and because we don't have the reason. And also, if you look at Mr. Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, he's also mentioned perhaps. But before we go on to Madam Sophia Ekufu, I'll just have a quick bite at the resignation and the retirement of the EC deputy commissioners. It's in line with their work. The retirement of Mr. Samuel Tete was due, and he's retired, graciously, and everything has gone well. And I think we wish him the best of luck. Then we have Mr. Bosman Asare, who has decided voluntarily to retire to go into academia. I think that if he had wanted to avoid the threats that were coming to him from NDC, which I would say empty threats, no basis, no grounding, he stood and was ready to deal with whatever charges. But then the Council of State, the Chief Justice, and all the various parties who were involved looked at the case and saw that it was frivolous. No prima facie case to answer, and so it was thrown out. After his dignity was restored, he then voluntarily decided that he was going to resign. And for that too, kudos, and we wish him the best of luck as he goes to join or replace my brother here, who may have come into the deeper political waters from the lighter academic sphere. Now, Sophia Ekufu, I just want to give a certain background to the lady so that we know who we are talking about. Then later we see what are we talking about. I mean, this is a woman of great honor, a lovely woman who has achieved a lot, and she is an exemplary woman of Ghana. We want such women of valor, women to be our mothers, our forebears, people who set examples for us to follow. A woman who went to Wesley Girls School, went to Legon University, our own beloved university here, and then after that to Harvard University, achieved so many things. And in fact, contrary to what some people would try to label her as, she's a woman of mixed achievements in that she was appointed to the Supreme Court by President Rawlings, and then that was all the way in 1995. And then she went through the system and was later made Chief Justice by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And I want to make this clear that she is not related to Nana Akufo-Addo. The name Ekufu is one of the most widespread names in the whole Ekuapem region. I'm sure every 7th or 10th person is Ekufu. So please, we should not have that thing. There's Ekufu, there's Addo. Nana Akufo-Addo's own happens to be the surname combined, Ekufu na Addo. And what we call a double-barreled surname. So otherwise, he'll be related to every Addo in that place. People like Gloria Kufu and all the rest are not related to him. They may bear the same surname and may have some connection by way which in Ghana, all of us do have some sort of connection whatsoever, but they are not close or family-related members. So Gloria Kufu is a woman of her own right. And by virtue of her long serving and the way that she's worked in areas like the Commonwealth, in various roles, whether it came to arbitration and so on and so forth, after being appointed from 1995, Georgina Wood was leaving. So once the Chief Justice Georgina Wood was leaving, she was looked at as one of the best alternatives to be Chief Justice. And I think even because of her age, she wasn't there for long.
Yeah.
But very qualified woman, very respected woman, and she was appointed to the bench as the Chief Justice under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. So that background needs to be made clear. Now, this is a woman of principle. As Chief Justice, I don't think we ever had one controversial matter. I don't think the MPP attacked her, the NDC attacked her. She did her work right in the middle and everything went well. Eventually, she left. And we remember her as somebody who picketed against the very same president who appointed her. So she does things as a matter of principle. She went picketing for the DDEP matter. And in her opinion, it should have been handled differently. Of course, subsequently, we have seen ministers of this current government who have actually said that the DDEP, even though unfortunate, was most necessary at the time. Because sometimes you need to cut off a finger to save the whole limb, as we know in surgery. Even sometimes with things like diabetes, you may have to chop off a leg to save the rest of the human anatomy. Yeah. So this was an unfortunate situation, but as somebody would describe it, a necessary evil, even though it shouldn't have happened. But under the circumstances, and after the corona, and after the various challenges, this was something that was proposed and came ahead. But she was entitled, as a matter of principle, which is the main point, that she disagreed, and she didn't just disagree in her bedroom, she went publicly picketing. So, by extension, this woman was now a former Chief Justice, and a new Council of State was being arranged. We all know, if you look at Article 89 of the Constitution, the composure of the Council of State members. One, a former Chief Justice.
You mean the composition?
Yes, the composure of it. The composition of it, yes.
Composition
How
of
to
it,
compose it. So you need the Chief Justice. You need to be able to compose it with former IGP. You need to be able to add a current president of the National House of Chiefs. And therefore, I disagree that if she's a Queen Mother, she can't be there. If the current national president of the House of Chiefs can be a member, he's a chief. So any Queen Mother or chief can qualify to still be there.
No,
so we can put...
but that's a slot for him.
No, good. But I'm saying that being a chief doesn't stop him from being a council of state member.
No,
so he's able to perform both functions. So a queen mother too can perform both. So being made a queen mother, if that is the case. I was just dealing with that aspect. Just, we are trying to understand the thing in depth. So
maybe the issue about the speculation that perhaps she wants to not just take up her new role as the queen mother of somewhere.
If she has made a queen mother,
that's what I'm saying. There's speculation. Perhaps the argument has to do with what she wants to focus on, rather than the legality.
No, and I'm trying to say that you don't need to focus on queen mother to resign from council of state, because even the composition of the council of state itself has the president of the National House of Chiefs as a member.
No, I get it.
It's a qualified member to be a chief, and a senior chief for that matter.
I get it.
Who may have even more duties and responsibilities and a bigger jurisdiction or kingdom than a queen mother of sorts.
Right.
So that is what I'm
that is the qualification criteria for the chief. Right? But in her case, she's coming in on the back of a former chief justice. So she may decide as an individual that if I want to do well in my new role as a chief, if that is actually
that is the case. Yes.
So it could be a personal decision that I want to focus more on this than that.
Yes.
Even though
once again, I rebut that, because you see, you come in there in your role as a former chief justice to lend certain advice in that regard, not as a chief.
Right.
So you can still perform your functions as a queen mother and be on the council of state. It doesn't stop it at all.
It's a fair point.
Yeah. Right. Then she made her picketing. Everybody was hailing her, especially the NDC. They were very excited. My brother is smiling. They were very excited that she's a woman of principle. At that time, nobody mentioned that she's Nana Akufo-Addo's cousin or anything rumored or false. You understand? We sit in this town.
It was mentioned, but the context.
No. I'm saying that at that time, the NDC found her a woman of principle.
Yes.
And not a relation of Nana Akufo-Addo.
No, it was mentioned, but in a different context.
Oh, no. It wasn't. No, I'm saying that.
Just 1 second. 1 second. Remember that at the time, the conversation in some quarters, especially with the listen to the likes of Martin Gbagbo and some NDC communicators were saying that even Nana Akufo-Addo's relative is protesting against him. That's the context. So not as in...
For me, I heard more of the Nana Akufo-Addo's appointee, former Chief Justice,
that's another angle.
Exactly. They didn't remember.
So there was a mention, but not what you're saying.
Yes, and of course, that I've told you that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But the context in which they referred to her was that as a former Chief Justice of the current president, she's against it by principle. They were very excited. Then comes an event that will also answer some of the reasons for the delay. We need a former Chief Justice. Who were the former Chief Justices available? Former Chief Justices available were Eni Yeboah and Sophia Akufu.
Yes.
They didn't want Eni Yeboah.
Oh, but there's also Georgina Wood.
No, and Georgina Wood, yes. So these three, yes. So we'll come to that even. Because now after that there's two. And Georgina
Theodora Wood.
Thank you for adding that. So they were very comfortable with the picketing Chief Justice, who in their opinion is a woman of principle. Why are you smiling? Let's talk about it. They like the picketing. So the picketing Chief Justice, they forget that she will come and picket on Torkornoo. They forgot. So in her principled stance of picketing, they chose her to the Council of State. Amen. Good job. So she is then, remember, her criteria is still a woman of principle, a woman of this, a woman of that, a woman of that. Then when she became a member of the Council of State, one of the things which were an eyesore to her, and to many Ghanaians till today, the framed up removal of Justice Torkornoo. In fact, she went to the extent of giving evidence in the case, and not just her, Eni Yeboah as well, also a former Chief Justice, and said those kind of expenses that they are trying to pin on the woman as something which is corrupt, she took some. Eni Yeboah took some. And even went to make references to Georgina Wood and others who were not there. It's something normal. You can't frame it to be something against her. And that this is virtually a witch hunt and is wrong. Now she's picketing from the Council of State. all of a sudden, she's not principled. She's not somebody who speaks truth. She's not somebody who's looking at the thing that, despite the fact that she has been appointed by President Mahama, she's saying that what is happening under the President Mahama regime is wrong. Yet, appointed by Akufo-Addo, I know you're in a hurry to come in tomorrow, but you listen for a minute, it will help you. It was something that was being done under Nana Akufo-Addo, who appointed her. And she went against the tide. In the same era, President John Mahama appointed her as the Chief Justice, and she was also going against what was happening and saying that as for this, I have to swim against the tide. And she gave her reasons, even which were exemplary, by using herself, the same principled picketing judge. All of a sudden, as they say in P, in Kofutikwapai, people are rolling on the ground, complaining, why is she like this, why is she like that, and so on and so forth. It became an issue. But moving forward, she went ahead, stated her case, and after that, the Torkornoo matter was decided in September 2025. Now we are told 10 months later, and you rightly said, it is the media who released this information first, before the government scrambling behind the scenes came to also say, yes, it's true, this was 10 months ago, but we're trying to talk to her to change her mind and see if there could be some kind of negotiation. Again, you rightly said, within the spirit of conflict, does it take 10 months to change somebody's mind when they want to resign? 10 months. Bosman Asare has just resigned and says he will leave on 31st July. It is out. As was rightly said by the comms head, that yes, the information came out, so they've also come to tell us, and that wait, it's just 31st July.
Right.
The woman resigned with immediate effect. Immediate. And yet it took us 10 months. My issue, and that's why I was referring to two, that's why I forgot about Madam Georgina Wood. Are they in a quagmire? Is the